This is Chihuahua, capital of the state of Chihuahua in northern Mexico. Oh wait, hold on. Had this video get in here. This is Chihuahua, capital of the state of Chihuahua in northern Mexico. This city is about 4 hours south of Ciudad Juarez and the border with the United States. Mexico City is a long way away, but this is, of course, very much a part of Mexico. Mexico is a country that loves its national heroes, and there are two heroes that loom particularly large here in Chihuahua: Miguel Hidalgo and Francisco Pancho Villa. Both Hidalgo and Villa were real people who did real things. But like national heroes everywhere, Hidalgo and Villa have been a little bit mythologized. The mythologization of these heroes supports a particular image of what Mexico is or what it should be. Here's what I mean by that. Miguel Hidalgo started the rebellion that led eventually to Mexico's independence from Spain. Hidalgo was a Catholic priest in the town of Dolores in central Mexico. And it was from there that he launched his rebellion against the Spanish on September 16, 1810. Hidalgo led an irregular army against the Spanish, and they had some initial successes, but eventually he was captured and imprisoned. He was brought here to Chihuahua, where on July 30, 1811, he was executed by the Spanish. It would be another 10 years of bitter fighting before Mexico would finally become independent from Spain. Francisco Pancho Villa was a central figure in a later period of upheaval in Mexican history, the Mexican Revolution. Villa was a bandit working in the mountains of northern Mexico. When the revolution began in 1910, he threw in his lot with the Constitutionalists, led by Francisco I. Madero. The Constitutionalists were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of Porfirio Diaz. After Porfirio Diaz was overthrown and Francisco Madero became president, Villa continued to support Madero. But Villa was betrayed by Madero's general, Victoriano Huerta. Villa escaped execution barely and fled to safety in El Paso, Texas. Ultimately, Madero also would be betrayed by Huerta, and he was assassinated in a coup. Huerta became the counter-revolutionary president of Mexico. Meanwhile, Villa built up his own army, División del Norte, which helped defeat Huerta. Crucially, he retook the border town of Ciudad Juarez for the Constitutionalists. But before long, Villa had a falling out with the new leader of the Constitutionalists, Venustiano Carranza. He was sidelined in Mexican politics as Carranza got official diplomatic recognition from the United States, and the revolution moved on without him. In March 1916, Villa demonstrated that Carranza did not in fact control all of Mexico, because he used northern Mexico as a base for launching a raid across the border into the United States, in the town of Columbus, New Mexico. His raiding party killed about 20 Americans before retreating back across the border. The US Army followed Villa in hot pursuit. This so-called punitive expedition, which was led by General John J. Pershing, spent the better part of a year chasing Villa around northern Mexico, but they were never able to catch him. Ultimately, Villa surrendered to the Mexican government after Carranza's death in 1920. He retired to a ranch, but his old enemies caught up with him, and he was assassinated in 1923. Both Hidalgo and Villa are remembered as heroes, but the reality, as usual, is a little more complicated than that. Hidalgo is considered the father of Mexican independence, but Mexico was not liberated by him. it would be another 10 years after his death before Mexico would actually be freed from Spanish rule. Instead, the man who actually did liberate Mexico was Agustin de Iturbide. Iturbide is not well remembered in Mexico. The reason why is that after liberating Mexico, he served as Emperor of Mexico. After his empire ended, Mexico took a turn toward republicanism. So Iturbide was not a good hero for the Mexican Republic. He actually tried to return to power once, and he came back to Mexico and he was actually executed. So again, not a good hero for the Mexican Republic. Hidalgo, on the other hand, was never emperor of anything. So he's a good candidate for hero of Mexico, for father of the Mexican nation. For his part, Pancho Villa is remembered as a hero, but by trade he was a bandit, and he could be incredibly cruel. Villa and his followers were responsible for countless murders across northern Mexico. The Mexican Revolution is remembered as being a story of good guys and bad guys. The good guys were the constitutionalists, people like Madero, Villa, and Carranza, whereas the bad guys were the counter-revolutionaries, most notably Porfirio Diaz and Victoriano Huerta. But the fact is that the constitutionalists spent as much time fighting each other as they did fighting the counter-revolutionaries. In death, Villa and Carranza would both be remembered as heroes of the revolution, but in life, they were enemies of each other. Miguel Hidalgo and Pancho Villa are heroes here in Chihuahua, which is a good thing. Every country needs its heroes. But when we learn about national heroes, we should go deeper than the nationalistic myths and view these people with a more critical eye. That's all I have to tell you about Miguel Hidalgo and Pancho Villa. This is Willie Logan in Chihuahua, signing off.